Alright everyone, thanks to the U.S. Supreme Court, bump stocks are now back. Yes indeed, Scotus ruling 6-3 that bump stocks could not unilaterally be made illegal. Clarence Thomas wrote the decision, mainly there were separate entries that were made, saying, well, bump stock still only causes one round of fire when the trigger is depressed, and so therefore it's not technically automatic. You've increased the rate of fire, but you haven't actually converted a semi-auto into an automatic weapon. Now, I can't understand under what premises a bump stock would be particularly useful. Automatic fire or high rate of fire is going to tend to reduce accuracy. I guess if you've got a horde of zombies coming after you, it might be a good idea. I think I'd prefer a Gatling crank. You know, you can increase the rate of fire with those, but you can also control it more manually. And you can bump fire a weapon anyway through other means. So a bump stock ban never really made sense to begin with. This was in the wake of the Las Vegas shooting, of course. That individual, and we never got full closure about some of the events that happened that day. I'm just pointing that out for fuck's sake. In the wake of that, they immediately targeted bump stocks. And the Trump administration actually was responsible for the attempt to ban them. It's one of the decisions that Trump made that I personally disliked because it is a form of anti-gunnery. This is simply an accessory on a rifle that allows it to fire more quickly. It doesn't make it more deadly. It doesn't magically change the caliber. It doesn't make a 22 into a 50 cal or anything like that. That's not the way that it works. Never made sense. It's like some states right now are trying to ban all semi-automatic weapons. Basically anything that looks scary. You're banning a significant proportion of all of the weapons on the market. I'm wondering, would a dual-action revolver actually fall under the semi-automatic category for the purposes of those state laws? At the bare minimum, I'm sure that'll be litigated at some point. You know, I've got a little 22 top break HR Sportsman. Technically, you know, every time I press the trigger, it fires. It's dual action. You don't have to cock back the hammer every time, although for accuracy's sake, you probably should. Your grouping will definitely be a little bit different. But, you know, technically speaking, I guess that's kind of a semi-automatic now, isn't it? I suppose it's anything mag-fed is basically what they're going after, so there's a little difference. Although, speed loaders do exist. So, once again, you could run afoul of those state laws pretty easily. Bump stocks are not a problem. The fact is that they were used in one major mass shooting, and everyone flipped out and started trying to pass new rules. Every time there's a significant mass shooting, the same thing happens. The same shitfucks blame the existence of guns, undermine the militia, and use the death of other people as an excuse to pass anti-gunnery. Trump should not have taken the bait, although he did exonerate the Republicans at the congressional level through his decision-making of having to deal with that issue. Otherwise, there would be a floor vote, and the Republicans would probably have, how many Republicans would end up getting kicked out of office for voting for it? Because some of them would have crossed the aisle. Technically, Trump took one for the team, seeing the inevitable. I understand the strategy, but I don't understand any anti-gunnery. The NFA shouldn't exist either, so I think the GOP needs to go wildly off in the other direction, actually. This is a good decision. Again, 6-3. So you have the 5 conservatives and the one swing vote, which is Roberts, basically. I like it when people call him a conservative. I find that hilarious. He was appointed by George W. He's a real principal. No, he's a rhino, basically. He's a unipartyist neocon more than anything else. But it was the right decision to make. Bump stocks are not a weapon in and of themselves. It makes no sense to ban them. When you can literally create a bump firing mechanism in 5 minutes, when you can 3D print them and get plans for that, and etc., 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 when there are probably millions and millions of them that were already there and aren't getting disposed of, so, you know, if somebody does want to use it for some malevolent purpose, they're still able to obtain it. You've literally, this is the problem with gun control, is that the people who have criminal intent don't listen to it. If somebody is suicidal, or they're a homicidal maniac, or both, you know, they want to kill a bunch of people and then die by cop or something, you're not going to be able to stop them from acquiring deadly weapons. You know, they'll get a chem degree and they'll make explosives or something like that. Law-abiding members of the militia aren't going to go on a mass shooting spree. Generally speaking, unless they snap and something terrible happens and they just go completely mental, in which case they're no longer part of the militia, properly understood under the well-regulated definition, then their gun is only going to be used for plinking or for sport shooting or something like that. Maybe they go hunting. You know, rural America is not urban America either. It was a blot on the Trump administration, actually. It was probably the worst singular decision that he made. Well, now it's been wiped out by the Supreme Court, so, you know, again, Scotus has reaffirmed the fact that Congress actually has to take action in order for that sort of legislation to exist at all. Even then, it would probably be injuncted by a federal court almost instantaneously, so it wouldn't even matter. It would still get injuncted. It'd still get shot down. I mean, they'd have to have a separate decision. They already passed Bruin, for example, and yet you've got this plethora of new bills coming through in various states and municipalities with regards to gun ownership and weapons and things in general. And none of them have had any impact. They don't reduce violent crime. Gun control doesn't even reduce gun crime. So, yeah. It's a dead issue. Hopefully Bruin is reasserted at some point, and things like this can go the way of the dinosaur so that the United States can actually have a properly functioning Second Amendment. That's about all. Peace out.